Hi, I'm Diane, your host of Epic Conversations. And today our special guest is Bryan Nutman. And I met Bryan at Charis Bible College and his wife too, Sue, which you'll hear from later. Bryan's graduated from Charis Bible College. He's presently the Director of Post-Education Development for Charis Bible College. He has his own ministry with his wife, Sue, called Roots and Wings Ministries. And he's traveled all over the world, so I'm honored to have him as our guest. Thank you for coming, Bryan. I'm really happy that you accepted the invitation.
It's an absolute pleasure and an honor, I must admit, just to come and share life.
Oh, thank you. And you have quite a testimony. So what prompted you and Sue and your two children, your whole family, to come to Charis in Colorado, from England? And people will pick up your accent. I got one too from Massachusetts, but not from England.
I just say we're from southern Texas.
Oh, okay, that'll work.
Wow. So my story really is, from the age of 12, I was born again and spirit-filled, but by the age of 15, unfortunately, the things of the world got a lot shinier and a lot brighter, and I was pretty much a prodigal son.
Oh, okay.
So I went off the rails, to be honest, for many, many years, 26 years, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I lived as a prodigal son. But during that time, I met my beautiful wife, Sue, and we got married when I was 22 and she was 21. I started a business career, and just really my whole emphasis was what I could do, and building my own little empire. You know, all the things of the world, earn money, you know, all of the things that you want to do, big house, big cars, all the stuff that really the world captures you with. And I really sort of went down a road for many, many years, working through corporate business, and then had my own business.
And what was the type of business?
It was a food company, food logistics. I mean, the company that I finally ended up in and with, we supplied 53 airlines with over 1,000 food products.
Wow,
but my forte was seafood, so I travelled globally around the world securing, you know, major seafood contracts for airlines, for first class and business class.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so as I said, it was an exciting business. Loved it, but actually it pretty much destroyed me as a person. Nearly destroyed my marriage and my relationship with my children, because I was always chasing after something that I could never get.
Yeah, that's a good point. Chasing after something you can never get.
Yep. And so the more that you chase after it, the further away it seems.
Yeah.
So, you know, the materialism, everything. And basically I became a workaholic, almost an alcoholic, just because I could never sleep. I was working so much, so I used to drink just to try and sleep. So my whole life really came crashing in. But really, I suppose for about 5 years, the Lord was chasing me back. And unfortunately, I decided to close the door again and went down into a deeper, darker pit. And I think it was 2009, if I remember correctly, that things had got that really, I suppose, bad with my relationship with Sue and the kids. I know Sue was in a very not a good place. I wasn't in a good place. And so at that point, Sue found the Lord in 2009. I'll let her share her testimony because it isn't a radical one. But the time that she actually phoned me, I was away on business, and told me that she had given her heart to Jesus. I just said, can we talk about this tomorrow when I get home? Because I was actually away on business again. She thought I was going to come home and ask for a divorce, to be honest. But actually, at that point, I just was in the middle of the hotel room saying, Father, I can't run anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where the journey started. It was a radical encounter with God in a hotel room. For hours and hours, I was stuck to the floor in the presence of God. And that really started our radical journey in 2009. By November 2011, we were here in Colorado. But what brought us here, I have to be honest, Andrew Womack, who has radically changed our lives with his message of grace and unconditional love of God. We never really heard him. My parents were partners with the ministry, Andrew's ministry, for many years, and my mum phoned me one day. I'd actually handed off my business in the 7th of March 2011. I got out of bed, and I had a word from God to say, today you come out of the business, you give it up.
Wow.
And I went, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. What do you mean by that?
And he said, I want you to give the business away and walk away.
That's a big word, big step.
It was huge, really. So that was a real interesting time for me. 7th of March 2011. About 4 weeks later, I had a phone call from my mum, because I thought I was going into free fall. I was hearing all these things from God. I mean, all of this stuff was going on, but yet I didn't know how to process it. So the same day that actually he told me to give up the business, he also told me the house was to be sold by an audible voice in the living room of my home. And I had all of these things go on, but I didn't know what to do with it. Sue thought I was going mad. So she said, what are you doing? But as I said, for a few weeks later, I just got into the Word. I just started to pray. But my mum rang me and she said, I think you need to go to Caris Bible College in Walsall in England. And she said, God's going to speak to you there.
Ooh.
So I went, okay. So I went. Actually, my parents met me there. And that's where God spoke to me very clearly. It was during worship. And the Lord said to me, you go to source. And I said, well, you are the source. But he said, no, you go to the source of where the college started.
Oh, now this is interesting. As I'm hearing you telling your story, you have heard from God in major things in your life. And your ministry is all about
how to hear
the voice of God. Okay,
so this is why it's a passion for us, because again, some things just don't seem to make sense, but you just know that there is something more and something else that needs to be done. And I think it's like, we talk about radical obedience does bring radical rewards, but it does bring its radical challenges. So, but again, if God is for you, who can be against you?
That's right.
So for me, it was with my own walk, sort of before that time, is really those few months before we came out of England and transitioned to the US was huge.
I was going to say that had to be another big hurdle.
It was. I mean, just with family as well. I mean, Sue was very close with her mum and dad and sister, and I was getting closer back with my parents. So when we told them that it was going to be America, they were a little bit shocked and a little bit sort of upset. I mean, even my mum turned around, she said, 26 years I've prayed for you as a prodigal son, and she said, you've just come back to the Lord and now you're off again?
Yeah.
So it really upset her to think, well, my son's come back, but now he's off again. But I said, I'm not around my own business now, I'm around my Father's business. So that to me, but it was a challenge, the 3.5 years of walking through college, great time, very transformational, as I said, the message, the word from all of the great teachers there. But one of the biggest things that I think I learned personally was how to step out of being an orphan and starting to live as a son. And that was huge. We had many challenges over those few years of walking through college. We couldn't work. So we still had, mortgage back in the UK. We still had all the outgoings here, but yet no income for 3.5 years. And but we managed to walk it all through. We had many carpet moments, as I call it, face on the carpet. Didn't really want to do it anymore and go home and all of these things. But God was faithful. And again, He very clearly told me, even before I left England, that basically it's going to be for 3 years. And by the time you finish your 3rd year, you're going to be debt-free. It didn't seem like it at the time. I can tell you, with major finances that were going out every month but no income, and we ran out of savings, I think, within a few months. So really, this whole journey wasn't. I learned a lot about provision, with Father God being my provider, but more than anything, it was about restoration of our marriage.
Restore.
And restoration with my children, and that really was the biggest key factor of what went on for those 3.5 years through Charis Bible College.
And
So
that's big.
it is.
That's huge. Restoration
Amen.
is huge, and you're still here.
Yes.
You didn't go back to England. So
Yeah, and we just thought at that point, when we finish those 3.5 years, what is next? And again, God has opened many, many doors for us with our own ministry, but also with Andrew Womack Ministries and with other opportunities. So it's been an amazing journey so far.
that is just powerful. Well, we're going to hear more.
Amen.
I am so thankful. Thank you for sharing.
Absolute pleasure.
That was very, very good. I hope you caught that. The hearing the voice of God is very crucial. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. We have more episodes coming with Bryan. And in the meantime, share this with a friend, subscribe to the channel, and have an epic day in the Lord.